Hey there, everybody. Welcome back. You just got finished with 1.1 and 1.2. 1.2 had a lot of videos. 1.3 is where we start diving into order of operations. This first chapter, hopefully, is a lot of review. The first couple chapters, there's quite a bit of homework, but it's hopefully stuff you've seen before, and you'll be able to go through the homework quickly. Whereas later sections might take you longer, and there's less sections. Let's get cracking. Uh, First thing we're going to go over is you might have all heard PEMDAS. This helps us guide what's going to be done when, parentheses first, then exponents, then multiplication and division. And these have same priority, so you go left to right with them. And A and S are for addition and subtraction, and they also have the same priority. So left to right. So oftentimes when I'm working on problems that have these, I will actually make a little checklist next to the problem that says this so that I can go through them. Now, some people have difficulty remembering this order. You might have heard a phrase. I don't remember what the word for a phrase that replaces this is called. But you might have heard, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. PEMDAS. Now, that's great. That's how I learned it growing up, but I didn't have an Aunt Sally, and I still don't have an Aunt Sally. And I don't think that's going to change. I'm getting older now. You probably don't have an Aunt Sally either, but if you do, this is fantastic for you. Many of you have siblings, though, brothers and sisters. So I like to remember this as please excuse my dumb ass sibling. You could say siblings as well if you want. I only have one. Love you, Ryan. But you're a dumbass in math. All right, so that's PEMDAS. We haven't really covered exponents. I want to remind you what exponents are. Exponents are repeated multiplication. So if I have 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, I can write this as 2 to the 5th power. There are 5 2's, so that's what we make there. This is called the exponent, and the 2 is called the base. And if you multiply this out, 2 times that, and we've got 8 times 4 is 32. So when you see repeatable, this represents multiplication, and that's kind of why it's right with the MDAT, right before multiplication division, because it is multiplication. So exponents is just another form of multiplying, but we do them first. All right, let's go through some examples. Let me come over here and grab some questions from this. He's got good sample problems in here. This is handy for you guys to see. So each of these sections has a description of what's going on. He's got examples worked out. And then he's got a bunch of homework problems. The odd ones, let me go back real quick. At the end of each chapter, there's answers to the exercises. You can click this for answers to the odd ones. So let me just pull some from here to, let's have some fun with you guys. Start with something simple. Let's do 4 and 6 for now. -2 to the 6th power. Simplify means remove exponents if you can. This means -2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. This 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. That's 8. So -8 times 8 is -64. If I take a look at, let me get that video thing out of the way. Let me move over to the left. If we look at number 6 has -1 in parentheses to the 4th power. And when it's in parentheses, what that means is it's doing this. So we use that multiplication rule of negative signs we talked about previously in, I believe, 1.1. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, even 4 negative signs even, which means the answer comes out positive. And then 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. So it turns out -1 to an odd power is -1, and -1 to an even power is +1. Okay. Eight. 3 to the 4th power, 5 squared. Now we've got other numbers, so I'm going to just write down PEMDAS real quick. I have no parentheses. P is for parentheses or any grouping symbol. Parentheses is the most common one, but we could have brackets. Absolute values count as well. All right. So, which means I'm going to do the exponents first. 3 to the 4th power. If you don't know how to do it on your calculator, when you have exponents, many of the scientific calculators have an x squared and an x cubed button. If you need a higher power, that's what this caret is for. So I'm going to hit 3, and it's called the caret key. Caret 4. 3 caret 4 is 81. 5 squared is 2 times, or 5 times 5 is 25. And now I finished my exponents. I go on to multiplication and division. 81 times 25 is 2025. Okay. Let's jump to some more complicated ones. Let's go with 20, I don't know, 24. Let's do 24. We have the absolute value of 4 squared minus 8 minus parentheses -2 cubed. So I'm going to write my PEMDAS again. And now, whenever we have parentheses or any grouping symbol, we do the rest of the stuff. We do MDIS inside the parentheses. That's what parentheses first means. So we follow the rest of the steps inside the parentheses. And then when we're done, we go outside the parentheses. So even though this is a parentheses, there's no action, there's nothing going on. But we do have a grouping symbol here. So inside it, I'm going to follow the order. The order is exponents first. So I'll do the exponent. 4 squared is 16. Ooh. I'll do the changes in red. And that covered exponents. There's no multiplication or division inside of it now. And we have addition and subtraction. 16 minus 8 is 8. And addressing the parentheses, absolute value is the only one that actually takes an extra action because you have to make whatever's inside positive. Now, that's where we're done with the parentheses step. We go to exponents. I need -2 times -2 times -2. I've got 3 negative signs, so that is going to be negative, and then 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. This minus sign is there. This minus sign is from this. So you can write it like this, or you might do that to make it clear that they're different. My exponent step is done. I don't have any multiplication or division, and addition or subtraction, let's do that. We talked about the subtraction of an opposite turns into addition. This is 8 plus 8, which is 16. You cannot always rely on calculators to give you the correct answer. Let me see if I remember how this one goes. There's a way that this calculator here does a sign mistake if I do a long string in the calculator. And it involves a very specific setup. I'll have to look it up. Maybe I'll pause the video and look it up real quick. I actually found a good video. There's 4 errors on some of these calculators. I will post it in the module for the class rather than going over it with you right now. The point is, you can't always just trust in calculators or anything like that. There are programming errors. People program these things. If there's programming errors in there, you get mistakes. You've all played video games where they've glitched. Calculators are no different. Okay? So keep that in mind. Just try to do the steps on your own. Oh, we're doing some problems right here. Let's come and look at some more complicated ones. Look at number 30. Let's do 30 and 30, 32, and 34. Negative absolute value 2 minus 3 squared plus 4 squared dot -1 to the 4th power. There we go. I got my PEMDAS. And it looks like all my action is inside the parentheses other than this negative sign at the end, which means we're going to end up with a negative number. So I'll just go through and do what's inside. We're doing exponents first, left to right. 3 squared is 9. And if you want, this is technically what's going on. We're going left to right. So all I changed was this. However, when you're going left to right and there's nothing, they don't impact each other, sometimes you can go a little bit faster and do them all. 4 squared is 16. And negative 1 to the 4th power we had earlier was positive 1. That'll complete the exponent step. Now we're doing multiplication and division. We do have a multiplication right there. So 16 times 1 is 16. All right, there's no more multiplication in there or division. We cross those off. Then we're going to go left to right for addition and subtraction. Here, subtraction is coming first. 2 minus 9 is negative 7. Put it in red. And then finally, negative 7 plus 16 is 9. We drop the absolute value signs, but the negative sign is there. So it still stays. The answer is negative 9. Notice if you do addition here first, if you do it correctly, it's okay. But mistakes that are common mistake here is doing this. 9 plus 16 is 25. 2 minus 25. This mistake involves adding, but ignoring that negative in front of the 9. Okay? So ideally, you don't do that. Go left to right. So this is wrong. You're going to see that ends up being negative 23, which is not negative 9. All right, let's keep going. That was 30. Let's jump to, we don't need to do 32. Let's do 34. There's a division sign in that one. Let's see if I got it written out right. All right. PEMDAS. It does look like I got a grouping thing, so I'm going to make another MDIS for inside there. There are no exponents. I'm going to write down the rest and just edit what I'm doing. We do have multiplication and division, though. 5 times 3 is 15. And then that was our change. And then the next one is addition, subtraction. 7 minus 5 is negative 8. And finally, the absolute value turns that into a positive 8. Minus a positive 8. All right, we're done with grouping symbols. Our parentheses are done. Exponents come next. 6 squared. I have the negative. The 6 squared is 36. Then I've got minus 8 minus 6 divided by 2. And then 3 squared is 9. Multiplication and division. I'm going to do these one step at a time because there's a couple and we need to go left to right. So left to right, we do the 6 divided by 2 first. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Then we do the multiplication. 3 times 9 is 27. Finally, our multiplication division step is done. We go left to right. We do the first two first. Negative 36 minus 8. They're both negative, so I can just add them and use the negative value. 36 plus 8 is 44, and it's negative. And I have negative 27. And finally, I do those. They're both negative, so I add them. 44 plus 27 is 71. Negative 71. Okay. I'm going to do number 40 real quick because show you where fractions show up. So fractions are sneaky. In the order of operations thing, even though you don't see it, there are invisible parentheses on the top and the bottom. Taking in the entire top and then the entire bottom. So you want to do that operation first. What's going inside those first? So in my parentheses, I have a squared thing. The exponents are going first. I've got 4 right there. And 3 cubed is 27 down here. There's no multiplication or division. Next, we have subtraction. 4 minus 5 is negative 11. 27 minus 16 is positive 11. All right, there's no more actions inside the parentheses. We are done with the parentheses. We have an exponent. Negative 2 squared is negative 2 times 2, negative 2. So this ends up being negative, and I don't need the parentheses anymore, so I'm just going to take them off. That's positive 4. All right. So we're going to cross off exponents. We have multiplication and division left. Fractions are really a form of division. So negative 11 divided by positive 11 is negative 1. And we finish it off, we multiply, we get negative 4. Now another way to do this one, I can rewrite that as 4 times 1. Not times 1, 4 over 1. Then I could put them all over one fraction, do the canceling thing we talked about, and I still get negative 4 over 1, which is negative 4. So in this case, if you multiply the numerators with fractions, you're doing okay. In terms of fractions and division, in the other video, I don't know that I showed it last time, so I'm going to show it real quick. 8/9 divided by 4. We said rewrite this as multiplication of the reciprocal. If we do the reciprocal of this, like I showed up here, this is 4/1. So when I do the reciprocal, I flip it over and I get 1/4. Now, rather than once you get comfortable, rather than doing the whole factorization, the prime factorization, if you see something that shows up on the bottom and you know it's in one of the top things, do that. 8 is 2 times 4. And with the 1, I don't need the times 1 anymore. And now I don't need to break down the 4s because they're both present and I can just cancel them out. And I get 2/9. So that'll be it for order of operations. As a reminder, I'm going to write it down here. Look up on YouTube all Casio calculator errors by the Beast Tricks. Okay. Peace.